hide. As I showed in a previous video, I've recently gotten interested in collecting skulls from different animals. Today I wanted to show you how to differentiate between two different types of big cats. We have the bobcat, this one I've named Bobby, and a Canadian lynx. This one I've named Linnea. I've also crocheted each of them their own little kitty cat beds. The skulls of these two animals are very similar and very difficult to tell apart, but I've discovered a couple of key differences that can help you differentiate between these two skulls. So let's get started. The first two differences I discovered from a random image I found on image search. It appears to be from a Quizlet quiz for some kind of animal anatomy class. I don't know, but when I examined my skulls, I found the things that the pictures showed, so I think it's accurate. The third difference I found from this key to mammal skulls and lower jaws that I bought from Skulls Unlimited. For the first two differences, we're going to flip the skulls over so that we're looking at this lower side. And we can move the jaw bones out of the way. Okay, the first thing we'll want to look at is how many distinct foramina are present behind the auditory bullae. What this means for us regular people who didn't major in biology is that we are looking for these teeny tiny little holes here, right here, these little ones here, behind the bulbous thingies here, which are where all of the hearing equipment is stored in the skull. The holes are called foramina, and they are basically little canals for nerves and whatnot to get from one side of the bone to the other. On the bobcat, which is this cat right here, we see that there is only one distinct foramen behind each of the bulla. The hypoglossal and jugular foramina are confluent, meaning they are joined together. Now, if we look at the Canadian lynx, we see that the foramina are distinct openings. There are two little holes right here. So one foramen means that it's probably a bobcat, Lynx rufus, and two foramina mean it is probably a Canadian lynx, Lynx canadensis. For the second difference, we're still going to keep looking at the bottom of the skull here. Now we're going to look at the presphenoid bone, which is right here on the skulls. I forgot to research what this bone is for, but I'm assuming it comes before the sphenoid bone. If you look at the bobcat skull, you'll notice that the presphenoid bone has more straight sides to it. In contrast, the Canadian lynx's presphenoid is more winged. For this next part, we're going to flip the kitty cats back over. Get your jaw put back in place. Okay, the third thing to look for is the interorbital width. The interorbital width is simply the amount of space between the eyes. According to this book, A Key Guide to Mammal Skulls and Lower Jaws by Aaron I. Rose, if we come to the part here that tells the difference between cat skulls, if the interorbital width is less than 30 millimeters, it is a bobcat. If the interorbital width is more than 30 millimeters, it is likely a lynx. So we're simply going to measure the width of the interorbital area. You can see that the bobcat is just a bit below 30 millimeters. Now if we come over here and measure the lynx, we can see that it's a bit wider here. This might vary between individuals, however, especially if it's an animal that wasn't fully grown. In my two specimens here, I also noticed that the space between the eyes in my Canadian lynx is a bit broader and more flat than in my bobcat specimen. Let's see if I can show what I'm talking about. See, this part here seems more flat. This one's more raised on the bobcat on its snout. I'm not sure if that's a species difference or just individual variation, however. Okay, as an added bonus, I'll show you the easiest way to tell the difference between a wildcat, such as my bobcat and Canadian lynx right here, and a domestic cat. Sometimes you'll find people trying to pass off domestic cat skulls as bobcats. Aside from the obvious size difference, you'll also notice that on the domestic cat, you'll find an additional tooth behind the canines. See right here. There's an extra little teeny tiny premolar behind the canines. You'll notice that this is absent in most bobcats and lynx. So those are the ways that I've found to differentiate between the skull of a bobcat and a Canadian lynx. If you know any other differences, let me know. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.